I am the spirit. But am I a spirit that is good or bad? Well, you will find out. So, there might be a spirit that is beyond good and bad, and yet still says we won't accept spirits on earth that reinforce blaming other people, labeling other people as the ultimate enemy that if we just get rid of, we will be happy. We do not have to accept certain identifications that the spirit may project at us. Is it a united spirit or a separated spirit? And so there's a lot of people on the internet talking about they can't do it anymore. And I want to say, are you working? Listen to those words. Are you working? It may have been ingrained. It's probably been ingrained into most people to think of that statement that I just made in a heart-centered way. Are you working? Are you okay? Are you tense between all the different things that are happening inside yourself and outside yourself? And so society is very critical to call people lazy, stupid, dumb, irresponsible, selfish, for not working. But a lot of people don't work or don't like working because they are really being forced to work in a certain way that limits their creativity, their playfulness, their humanity, their vulnerability, and compassion to share different ways of interacting with each other and having rights that help us have a say in any business, in any family, in any community or group. And so, here in this library, I feel it is important to say that one of the reasons why things are so difficult is because there is a failure on our part. Sorry, let me take a step back. There's a failure in society to recognize reincarnation. That we have gone through so many things. Abusive, heinous, things. And science says you cannot prove reincarnation. But you cannot prove anything if someone else doesn't want something to be proven to themselves. We have to find out for ourselves. So how can I just say reincarnation is one of the things that is not acknowledged, that deserves psychological and spiritual help, taking the best of psychology and the best of religion, all the religions together, and removing the judgment, the prejudice, the fear-mongering. If you don't believe this, then you are going to hell forever, or whatever bad thing that we may wish us upon someone. So, one of the biggest stumbling blocks that I feel for us, the people, to work efficiently, but enjoy, is to recognize that so much of the pressure of today is tense because there isn't this acknowledgement that we need so much help that is not being addressed by science and religion, by education, by institutions. I don't need to name government, do I? So, how can we make things better? Well, one thing is letting go of trying to force an outcome, a specific outcome, for how you would like to see everyone have someone they could talk to, and take account of the certain needs that they need emotionally, psychologically, intuitively, logically, physically, biologically, circumstantially. There needs to be so much consideration in our society. You have to spend a lot of money, often, in trying to get the help that, well, we have been waiting for since down the ages, when sometimes at different points there were societies that did try to imbue more principles. Which societies were those? The Essenes, the Sufis, in Athens, there was a certain progress, even though there was still slavery, there was still abuse. And the lack of women's rights is also a form of slavery. But today we are also in a type of slavery that is worse than back then, because so many of us think we aren't really chained to a system that doesn't look at inner beauty, inner experiences, our reactions to other people looking different, talking different, acting different. But it seems to me that the economy is a result of the spirituality. And we are moving into an age of technology, of systems, into an age that also is about restoring community and sacred traditions that favor mysticism, intuition, and learning how we can all play our role, how we can all discover our role and experiment and see whether or not something we could do in public that raises people up, that inspires them, but that also exposes the ego that a lot of us hold on to on some form. Let me pause this real quick. And the ego isn't bad, it's just like a program. It's like a program. And the ego, in a lot of people today, want to point the finger and deflect responsibility from saying 2% population own over 90% of the world's wealth. This is slavery. This is injustice. This is something that is the result of spiritual ignorance, scientific ignorance, that everything's connected. The molecules, the stars, our mind, thoughts, and emotions. And, well, how we diagnose how we diagnose illnesses and poisons and cancers that have infiltrated into every institution. And so, how can we bring our gift to the table? And trying to balance technology and in-person interactions can be helpful, but it seems there is a movement that is trying to unite. And it's very rare to see that out in public, someone expressing themselves in a way where awareness is being shared about how we can avoid the pitfalls of history, how we can cultivate a new culture, a new civilization by becoming the university, the point of contact for the people, to feel there is more to life than just surviving, than just doing what we're told. And likewise, there is more to just blaming people and saying it's the Illuminati, it's the whatever. Hold on one second. It's the elite which are responsible for many of the wars, tortures, inhumane forms of destruction, but also the subtle camouflaged strategies and tactics through think tanks and other councils and commissions and boards. Subtle forms are created to make it seem that there's a group that's superior and a group that's inferior. And so I feel with this technology, we have the ability to create a more tightly knit community that honors nature, it honors the earth, it honors working together, cultivating food, constructing, building, cooking, cleaning, knitting, crafting, engineering, dancing, painting. Sounds like a utopia, right? Well, utopia can come about in a few decades. If people would see that we are timeless beings, and that the issues we have today are a result of issues that go back lifetimes and lifetimes. And if we won't address them, we will continue to have social collapse, the collapse of large numbers of people. And so the war that's being waged today is very psychological, spiritual, and what else do I have to say? There's a lot of people that are beginning to talk about this system does not work. It cannot be sustained. There needs to be someone to say enough is enough. We will not accept the inhumanity, the narcissism, the greed, the corruption, the exploitation, the coercion, the subliminal messages and vibrations coming from ourselves sometimes, where sometimes we think everyone is good if we just look at the positive, when in fact
That's a big problem, huh? It's like an equation, huh? What is that? Equality or equality?
equality.
It's not, no. It's not equality.
Yeah, I was just saying, like, one of the issues is some people think everyone is good, and if we just look to the good, everything will be okay, when we also need to say we need justice. We will say there are things we will not accept about how we don't feel we have a vote. We don't have a daily vote. We don't have a daily conversation. We don't have a table to come to listen to. We don't have people to talk to about how we can make big decisions, because we have been told we are small and we're by luck genetics.
Are those phones that people have here?
So I don't know. My dad bought me this.
The other two, the other one, that's like a one with the sticker on.
The one I got, that one I got on 6th Street, on Mission, Mission and 6th, for EBT card. I gave him my EBT and my ID. And I bought something from the store. I gave him a receipt. They asked me to bring him a receipt. How did I buy the food?
Does that one work? The second one?
It works. It works. Yeah. And so, as I was saying, one of the blocks to whatever I was talking about, some people think if we just, I think I was talking about it, I was recording. I don't, so to see the good in everyone is nice, right? But it does not cut the check. It does not clear the line for us to truly feel like we can bring accountability to those people who violate the basic laws of how we can evolve, of how we can find a sense of purpose without just trying to survive on our own, as most of us are doing. And so it's a line. It's a very thin line, but it is something that a lot of people can walk, and millions are ready, as they are already posting on different platforms and going beyond platforms, that everything is not all bad either. And it can be hard for a lot of people to feel like there are good people in the system, because we're not raised with anyone that really tells it like it is. And there isn't usually like messengers, or we have the app Messenger, but do we have a messenger? Are we a messenger? For what consciousness, for what ideas, for what actions, is what we are all deliberating every day, or non-actions. Sometimes that is just as important. So, gathering the finances to create a tightly knit community that balances urban and rural living, to bring nature and social experiments together, social, psychological, spiritual, scientific welfare. Why is it scientific? Because there is a process of using principles. How shall we say? What principles? It's hard to even fathom. Hardly even fathom. And so, just envisioning that our voice matters, that there's a way to share that breaks through the concrete, that breaks through the dense, thick, hardened veil that so many people put up because they don't want to reconsider what they were believing for lifetimes was potentially an illusion that isn't.
Sees the illusion. Can one see the illusion making this one also, and that makes two? Now let me ask one question.
Do you want me to record you while you're?
Does that make two people that see the illusion?
Would you repeat it for me? It's okay if you can't. But if two people see this,
if one is seeing an illusion, making that one, and this one is that makes two. That makes two. Then does that make two? Me being two and that being one. Two people that see the illusion, or just only one?
well, this is what I call a mystery because we're all one. We're all one energy, force, being, intelligence, which is not necessarily proven by science. Religion tries to say it in their own way, but one person can see truth while the other sees an illusion, while at the same time they are both affecting each other.
But feeling the illusion, by being grabbed by the illusion, isn't something to be seen, unless it would ask one person.
Unless it would ask one person? Is that what you said?
Then, if that person sees the illusion,
Your voice is a little loud.
my voice is loud.
I mean, you can talk loud, but
So it is two differences.
and that doesn't mean it's wrong or it's bad. We've been trained to think that that's bad and that we should kill the other person that's different or humiliate them or ignore them. But we should see ourselves and one another while still holding justice.
Right.
How do we hold justice? Well, we offer programs of psychological and spiritual help for people who violate laws, who want to get better. But we also create social programs to actually help people have basic liberties: food, shelter, water, clothing, mobility.
Yeah, so then that would be like, but the illusion of illusion of one's color is what? It's colored. Colored in is the difference of two different colors. So does one color make two colors look different as a colored picture?
The illusion of color is a part of. Sorry.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite
Right.
grasp what you said.
So, if having to put that in enough time to make the illusion, if that's how you take it.
So you're saying, if all colors come from the same color, even though they may look like two different colors, does it really make them different?
It all depends on what's happening at the time. Maybe it was something that was to pump fear. Maybe it was something to pump understanding. Maybe it was something to instead of one seeing the illusion, maybe it was something to talk to him. But if that color wasn't one that was light, then would I ignore you? No,
No,
no, I would not ignore you, no matter what.
but we still should be as wise as serpents in seeing who will consider our pearls that can oftentimes be wasted if we think people will change, if we keep telling them that we can be the change, and they may continue to ignore what we're saying.
Because philosophy. I don't know if it was philosophy somewhere else. It was probably in the beginning of this building. But philosophy is one stage word. But the Latin terms and abbreviations of one's Latin root of a Spanish Latin Espanol word that's printed out and put into a letter for letter makes a word, right? Well, that's a lot of talk, but it doesn't just make a lot of people walking around. Now, walking around, if one sees an illusion, then the colors are what? Going everywhere. It must be in the universe. That's a good question.
The colors are, if someone sees an illusion, the colors are going everywhere.
Right. Now you see what we just did?
When I consider the forces of darkness, of division, people who hate people, want to torture people, want to exploit people, they are using light in some form to create sound and vibration, to create form and structure, and so I do see how an illusion can use this color spectrum, but it seems to me there are certain dominant colors that form.
Right, so you don't know what that is. Made that one use an arm.
But they're
Holy fucking shit! Look at a whole 8 pound, 200 pounds in a bag, sealed tight, called hydroponic. You really trying to get before us?
hydroponic. Sealed bag. And so, where do we go from here? Or perhaps we don't go. Perhaps we enjoy where we are. And where are we? Well,
Maybe that one's illusion be 1 century, millennium, 1,000 years. That 1,000 years for your illusion to be seen, pretty much put to a dot.
1,000 years for an illusion to be seen? Is that what you said? It's okay. So, is there something you would like to share with the world?
Me personally, I think maybe with one's, let's say, hair tie, with one's look and appearance of just being a father. May that father that sees that one illusion, and may one more to the sons of the fathers, for sons. Well, that makes two more people. So maybe seeing how that one is.
Your voice.
How that one is being seen and looking at the image of myself besides being in a river. Looking at a river. How would that make one feel when one's trying to clean themselves? Maybe that'd be the one illusion.